Hi there, and welcome back to Adulting 101 Academy, where we help you navigate the ins and outs of adulthood. I'm Josh, and today we're diving into how to plan the perfect vacation. Whether you're dreaming of sandy beaches or bustling city streets, we've got you covered. But before we jump into that, I do want to remind everybody to please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really does make a huge difference for a brand new starting out channel like this one. I'm really just trying to share information to help people navigate, really, like I said, the ins and outs of adulthood. It can be challenging. And I know there's a lot of people out there who have never had to plan a vacation, never had to create a budget. There's even those people out there who have never had to apply for jobs. So this channel is here to help, here to inform, and here to teach. So please, once again, like the video, share it with people who you think could find this useful. But let's dive into planning a perfect vacation. And I'm going to say this right off the bat, there is no perfect vacation. There's always hiccups. There's always things that happen that change plans. There's weather that changes, flights that get delayed. There's always something. But you know what? That's okay. A vacation doesn't have to be perfect down to the minute planned out. Now, I am a planner. I do like doing that. But at the same time, you got to have some level of flexibility to be able to just kind of go with where things go. But right off the bat, when you want to plan your vacation, you got to decide how you're going to get there. What's your transportation? Are you going to take a car, a plane, a boat? Are you doing a staycation? Now, one of the things to realize, if you're doing a car, it might be the cheapest of the three options for transportation. Now, I didn't put train on here. Train is actually a pretty good way to travel that isn't overly expensive. Now, I live in Bismarck, North Dakota, so we have an airport here, so I can take planes to different places, but it's really expensive because I have to fly to Minneapolis or Dallas or Denver first before I can fly somewhere else. So I could end up having two, even three layovers depending on where I'm trying to go, it seems like. So I would recommend really kind of deciding, you know, your budget. Can you afford things? What do you want to do? Do you like flying? I don't like flying. I am not a person who enjoys planes. I do fly. I don't like I said, I don't enjoy it. I do love road trips though. I love getting in the car, driving down the freeway, being able to stop at different places, see different sights. But part of that's because I grew up doing road trips. My family lived in Washington State, and we would road trip to Anaheim, California, where Disneyland is, almost every year from the time I was like 12 to 20. And then when I got married to my wife, we kept doing the same thing because her family did that as well. I've driven from Washington across to Missouri and Tennessee. Now that I live here in North Dakota, I've driven all over this region, that type of stuff. I'm used to being in the car. My daughters are used to it. My wife's used to it. So we like doing the car. But we do planes as well. We fly back. We've also found that Amtrak is pretty nice. So the one downfall of Amtrak is usually when you get to different cities, you're not near like rental cars. But that for us isn't a big deal because when we take a train, we're going back to Washington where our family is, and we just borrow someone's car for the couple days we're there. So trains work great. They're actually a lot more comfortable than a plane, and they're even more comfortable than a car, given the fact that you just can get up, go to the bathroom, walk around. You're not forced to stick in your seat the whole time. So I didn't put trains down here, but I would recommend you consider doing trains if you can. If not, car, plane. If you want to take a cruise, boats. I've never done a cruise, so I can't really give you any information on that other than the fact that I get seasick and I don't know if I want to take a cruise. Staycations are also great. I don't really like them as much because I feel like when I'm at home, I still got to do cleaning, do chores, so I like to get away from the house. But one thing you also got to consider is who's going. Is this an adults only trip? Is it just you and your friends or your spouse? Are you just going as adults or do you have kids? That changes a lot of places you can go or want to go. Obviously, if you have kids, you probably don't want to be in New Orleans at Mardi Gras. It's just probably not the best spot. Also, going to Vegas, although there's a ton of stuff for kids at Vegas, if you want to gamble and do that type of stuff, it's gonna be tougher with kids. But at the same time, if you have kids, that might mean you go to a theme park. Now, I know automatically when people think of theme parks, they think of, Disneyland and Six Flags and stuff like that. But there are theme parks all over the country that are a lot more affordable than Disneyland. In fact, there is one in Waterloo, Iowa. I think it's Islands of Adventure. I don't know. It's not Islands of Adventure. I cannot think of it off the top of my head, but there's one in Waterloo, Iowa that I've been to that is pretty affordable. And last time I went, it's only been open for like 2 years. There was like no one there. We walked onto all the rides. So do your research. In fact, one of my recommendations, get onto YouTube, get onto travel blogs, find different things. You know, there's a lot of great opportunities to watch videos for people to tell you how to do things more efficiently. If you've never been to Disneyland or never been to Disney World and you're going for the first time, I recommend you get on and watch YouTube videos. If you're going to Disneyland, find Fresh Baked Presents. Fresh Baked is an amazing Disneyland video series that they talk about all different things you can do. There's also TPM Vids, which does a lot of theme park stuff, and all ears. There's a ton of Disney ones, but there's also stuff for like Dollywood and that type of stuff. So use travel blogs, use YouTube to get information and really kind of figure out where you want to go. It does help out. But you do need to decide a destination. Now, once again, you got to figure in how you're going to get there. You know, fly, drive, train, who's going, just adults, kids. But as you go, kind of figure out what you're interested in. If you want to hike, there's a ton of places in every state you can go and hike. Even here in North Dakota, we have some beautiful landscapes we can go and hike, or I can drive down to South Dakota or to Montana, and there are beautiful hikes everywhere. But my family is not the big camping, hiking type most of the time. We do once in a while, but we prefer to go to like theme parks. So we research theme parks in the area or figure out how we could drive from North Dakota to Anaheim, which we may end up doing in the next year or so. It's just something we've done as a family, and road trips aren't a big deal for us. So make sure you kind of figure out what you're interested in. If you're a big baseball fan, maybe you're planning your vacation in the spring or in October to be down in Phoenix to watch baseball, spring training or fall ball. Or maybe you're thinking, you're big into art or stuff like that. So find different art festivals. Find what you like and go do something like that. Now, having a budget is key. There is no reason and no excuse to go horribly into debt for a vacation. It's not a good decision. I'm telling you guys right now, I haven't done my budgeting video, but I can tell you this, going into debt for just a vacation is not a good idea. Save money or do smaller vacations. That's the best thing to do. And you do consider the time of year. I mean, if you're thinking about Disney World, that's great. Maybe going in late September and October is not the best idea. That's hurricane season. You might want to find a different time of the year where you're less likely to get hit by a hurricane and have days that are just miserable because of the rain and the wind. Now, as you set your budget, there's some things you need to take into consideration. Accommodations is one. Where are you staying? If you're doing hotels, well, you can go online and figure out the prices. That works great. Airbnbs, you can use those. I am not a big fan of Airbnbs and that type of stuff. I've used them in the past and I've had good experiences, but I've also had kind of bad experiences and frustrating ones. But then there's also campgrounds. If you're on a budget, there, there are a lot of campgrounds in the United States that are relatively cheap. State parks are great. Have a tent, set it up. They're usually pretty inexpensive. Now, some parks are hard to get in because they fill up pretty fast, but you can always find state parks and different campgrounds that are not packed, good areas, not too expensive. So know where you're going to stay, first of all. The next thing to think about is daily expenses. You got to have food. Now, granted, you may be able to take a cooler with you with sandwich stuff and things like that, but you're going to be limited on how much you can take with you. But consider that. Think about it. Maybe you understand that, hey, I'm going to go to this campground and it's close enough to a grocery store where I can go get stuff every other day for the next 2 days of food, and it fits into my cooler. Great. That works great. That's perfect. But maybe you're in a place where you can't do that. Maybe you're going to be in a theme park. It's something to think about. Food costs are probably some of the biggest expenses I have for a vacation with my family. There's four of us, got to feed us all. If you do a theme park, you got to think about the tickets. Also, you got to think about the parking. Parking is a big thing that it adds up really fast. So different expenses like that you got to think through. And then transportation. Are you doing plane tickets? Are you doing gas for driving? You know, If there's four or five or six of you, driving might be cheaper because even though it takes longer, you only have to pay for the gas to get there instead of each individual plane ticket. So think about those different things, add it all up, really use an Excel sheet or a spreadsheet just to kind of understand how much things cost so you know your budget. Next thing is plan your itinerary. Know your travel time. Do not plan to be at a specific place minutes after you arrive there by plane or train or by car. Because if a plane gets delayed by an hour, or the last time I flew when I was going down to Disney World, it got delayed by 8 hours. We had planned to try and do some stuff that first day, and that all went out the window. So please understand as you're planning things to be flexible that first day of travel, maybe even that second day of travel, because you might be tired. So kind of know how long things are going to take. For my family, if we're going to drive from North Dakota to Anaheim, we're talking 22, 24 hours worth of driving, which sounds like a lot, but we've done 17, 18-hour stuff. Pretty common. It's not a big deal for us. We know how to do it. We know how to work it, but we have to plan for that. We have to plan for where we're going to stop, where we're going to get gas, where the bathrooms are, that type of stuff. I do recommend that if you're on a vacation, even if you're going to a theme park like Disney World, especially if you're going to a place like Disney World, have a day to relax. Have a day just to jump in the pool, float for a while, and let your body rest. It's a great thing to do. Also, take some time to sightsee. If you're in a state you've never been to before, look around that state, enjoy the area. I mean, once again, I live here in North Dakota. If you come to North Dakota to vacation, there's not a lot here, but there are some things that are cool to see. We have Theodore Roosevelt National Park. You're going to want to take a day to sightsee that, to see the wild horses, to see the bison, that type of stuff. So plan around, give yourself some flexibility, give yourself some time to relax as well. Now, one tip is Google Maps. It's a great for planning your routes, especially if you're driving. If you're going to a certain area, you can say, "Hey Google, what are things to do in this city?" And it will give you some options. And there's some cool things that will pop up. You might even find some special events that are going on that you want to be a part of. So plan your itinerary, do some research. Now, I have done vacations last second, but the best vacations are really ones that I've taken some time to see what's happening, to know what's going on, so I don't get caught off guard or surprised by, different things in the area. You do want to book in advance. Like I said, I've done spontaneous vacations. I've done last second, hey, let's go, get in the car, and we're moving type of idea. And those are fun. Those are a lot of fun. They're enjoyable. Sometimes they're even less stressful because you didn't have all this time worrying getting up to that point. But the best thing to do financially is to plan in advance, get things before the prices jump up because the longer you wait, the higher tickets go up, the higher motels go up. So get it early, get it, planned out 6 months in advance, even a year in advance if you can. Now you can't always make reservations a year in advance, but plan it ahead of time so you know what's going on. And, especially with flights, if you can secure the flight early on, it can save you money. For taking trains, here's a little tip for those of you who want to take the Amtrak. The more tickets that are bought for a certain day, the higher the prices go up. So every time a ticket is purchased and the train fills up a little bit more, they keep increasing the prices of the tickets. So if you're one of the first ones to buy a ticket on Amtrak, you get the cheapest price. Now, there might be some special sales that go on here and there, but for the most part, you buy it early, you get the cheapest price. Now, when you do go on vacation, make sure you're packing what you need. Check weather. If you are going to a place like Florida in the month of July, you're not going to need a coat. You don't need gloves. You don't need stocking caps. You need shorts. You need t-shirts. And when you get there, you're going to need to buy yourself some sunscreen. So know where you're going, know what the weather's like. I've had a lot of people who um, assume that the weather's going to be a certain way. And when they get there, it's the exact opposite. Weather.com is great. You can get a 15-day forecast for any city in the country, even overseas. I think they do world weather things as well. So go and check that out. Also, roll your clothes when you put them in your bag. If you roll them, it can actually give you more space. I don't know why it works that way, but I found that if I roll stuff, I can fit more shirts and pants and socks and all that stuff a lot easier. The last thing I want to talk about is when you're on vacation is stay connected and stay safe. This is actually a pretty big thing that most people overlook and don't think about, especially when they go to other countries. A lot of people don't realize that if you have a phone here in America and you go into Canada, which I've done multiple times. I mean, I'm only 4 or 5 hours from the border. I could drive up there tomorrow if we had the opportunity, if we weren't doing anything. Once you cross into Canada, for a lot of phone services, you lose service completely. You can't text, you can't call, you can't do anything. So please understand that as you travel, if you travel overseas or into other countries, you need to check with your phone provider to see if you can do international coverage. That's something that will help you out. That way you can still navigate if you're trying to drive somewhere, if you need to call for an emergency, all those things you need to think about ahead of time. I know one of the first times I went to Canada as an adult with my family, we knew that we would lose coverage. We kind of knew that. And as we did, we crossed the border, coverage went out, and then we did realized, oh, we didn't know where we were going exactly. Now, we had a map with us and it helped us get, for the most part, where we were going. Then we found a restaurant that had Wi-Fi and we got dinner and uh, got our phones on Wi-Fi because Wi-Fi still worked. And then we were able to map out some more directions to where we were going. So that worked out fine. But just know that, when you cross over to a different country, you can lose service altogether. And like I mentioned, Wi-Fi is great. Even in other countries, you're going to find coffee shops, Starbucks that have Wi-Fi. I know a lot of McDonald's have Wi-Fi even internationally. Go find those places and take advantage of that free Wi-Fi to figure out where you're at, where you need to go, and all that type of stuff. One last thing I want to recommend to everybody is keep both digital and physical copies of important documents. So, like birth certificates, make sure you have a copy of that on your phone and a copy of that with you in like a folder or something that you have in your car, because you never know when you need that. If you lose your other documents, someone steals them or they're lost for some reason, you forgot them or they're just damaged or something, having copies can help you get back across the border, can help you get to, just figuring out your things. Even if you lose luggage, having stuff on your phone or carrying with you in your carry-on can be a lifesaver and make things so much easier as you're trying to recover things. So have birth certificates, have maybe copies of your driver's license on your phone, different things like that, just so hey, if my wallet's stolen, I still have a copy of my driver's license on my phone to at least show that, hey, something happened, here's what I have. It can make things go a lot smoother than just being without any documents or any proof of who you are. So, those are my tips for you guys. Once again, there is no such thing as a perfect vacation. Things are going to come up that slow you down or force you to change your decisions or your planning, and that's okay. That's a part of vacations. It's just kind of going with it, having fun, and trying to find ways to relieve stress, trying to find ways to smile and enjoy the day and just experience new things. So, guys, once again, I'm Josh. This is Adulting 101 Academy. Thank you for listening. Once again, please, please like the video. I know I'm begging, but that's okay. Subscribe to the channel, share it with other people who you think might find this useful, and help us out getting the word out about different things that you as an adult need to know moving forward. So, guys, have a great day.